everybody. Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Hello.
Hi.
I hope you're having a great weekend. I am Glenetta Heyman.
And I'm Liza Esqueda.
We're
I'm
your
Kendra
business,
Swalls.
and we are your business and trademark BFFs. We are here for your Saturday spotlight, and we have a wonderful guest here with us. Liza, would you like to introduce our guest?
Yes, so today we have Kendra, and Kendra is going to talk to you about things that are so important and things that Glenn and I always talk about, right? Email marketing and, how do you do it? How do you best do it? What is up with it, right? It seems simple in concept, but it's not in practice. If you try to get something going like email marketing or any kind of marketing, it's complicated. It's a lot of stuff that you need to know about it. So Kendra is an expert in this realm, and she's here to talk to us about her business. And I love her business name, and I'll let her introduce that to you.
Thank you so much. Well, I'm so excited to be here. I appreciate you allowing me to come on and chat with y'all today. So yes, my name is Kendra, and I'm the founder of Girl Means Business. And it started off actually, this is my second business that I've created. I originally started off as a photographer. So I was an elementary school teacher. I started a photography business kind of as a side hobby that turned into a full-time business. And when I left my teaching career, I had tons of people asking me, like, how did you do that? What were your things you had to have in place first? How did you grow your business? And that kind of evolved into the Girl Means Business brand. I now have a podcast. I have a couple of products and services that I offer. And I was having a conversation just recently, actually, with another group of ladies. And we were talking about things we wish we had known when we started our business. And that's sort of the basis of what I'm doing with Girl Means Business is I want to help women sort of figure out what they don't know that they don't know about business yet and help them kind of build and grow a business or even start a business if they don't have an idea yet.
That's so wonderful for multiple reasons, but you're right. You don't know what you don't know. And Glenn and I say that all the time when it comes to business. Like, you don't even know what to ask or what to do or what you're missing. So it's important to have that research and to, have all that information in your back pocket so that when you move forward, you know what you're doing. Secondly, though, the fact that this is a podcast is wonderful because that's the direction that a lot of businesses are moving towards. And having a podcast where you share this information is incredibly important. It's very useful, and it makes it really easy for your clients, your customers to be able to get their information, right? They just put on their earbuds and do their thing throughout the day and get to know more about how to run their business. So I applaud you for that.
Well, thank you. It's been fun. The podcasting part has been kind of this thing I just threw myself into because I was a big fan of podcasts. I listened to them all the time. And I just kind of ran with it. My first episode, I literally recorded on my iPhone headphones in my closet on the recording app on my phone. And so it's definitely progressed since then, but it's been so much fun. It's allowed me to meet other incredible women like the two of you that probably I would not have come across in other means. So that's been really opening a lot of connections. It's been really amazing.
And that's such a positive, with this past year and COVID and people going online to do things, to work, to network. They're going more towards podcasting as well as far as getting some information. So I think it's great that you do that because it's the way the world is going now. And whether things change or not, I feel like everyone's moving towards being online, and working online and getting their information online and listening to things like your podcast to get information. So I love that.
Yeah, tell us more about your products and services. You mentioned that's something else that your business offers. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so I have a couple different resources, free resources that I offer on my website. I'm actually in the process. That's one of my big things I'm doing for 2021 is I'm sort of revamping my website. I want to go away from just being like a place where my podcast lives to being like a resource hub for women. And so I'm going to be putting out a lot more like free resources. Right now I have a few that are based mostly around like the email marketing, which we kind of touched on earlier. So I do have like a free email marketing starter kit that walks you through like the basics of email marketing. It gives you a lead magnet template. It gives you a welcome sequence. I also have like a marketing guide, which gives you kind of some some starter ideas for how to start marketing your business, especially a lot of that now where you can't go to like in-person events. So it gives you some tips on ways you can market your business without actually having to go in-person places. And then I also have another email marketing tool that is the Inbox Insider. So this is a paid program, and it gives clients an entire year of email marketing templates. So they're sort of fill in the blank. I call it like Mad Lib style. You get to kind of fill in the pieces that match your brand, but the framework is all there for you. So you have one email a week. It also includes some sequence templates. So like a sales sequence, a list cleaning sequence, and then a few little bonuses with ideas for building your email list as well.
That's wonderful. Email marketing is so much harder than people, realize. And having that welcome sequence and having that funnel where you have the plan in place before you send out the emails is really important, so that you're not just like randomly willy-nilly sending out emails and hoping for the best, right? Yes. I love that. That's a great business.
Thank you.
Yeah, I agree.
Go ahead. Oh, no, I was just say that was one of the things, like when I was going to the list of like, what do I wish I had done differently in my business? Like probably one of my number one, and I don't want to say regrets because everything leads you to where you are now, but one of the biggest things I wish I could go back and tell earlier me to do is to start an email list from the very beginning. Because I think about all those years I didn't build an email list, and I'm like, oh, all those like potential clients that I lost, and not necessarily lost, but that I, could have been cultivating a relationship with, and I wasn't, because I felt like it was too difficult, too confusing, too cumbersome. And so I wish that I could go back and like start it earlier. It would be my like number one thing. So I wanted to make it easier for women. And coming from being an elementary school teacher, I have a really good way of kind of making difficult concepts feel easier. And so I was like, that's the best way for me to, help other people, is to offer them that advice.
It's great that you have that, like you said, making something difficult and taking it and making it easier for people to understand, because it's not easy to understand. It's intuitive to you. It's not intuitive to other people. So it's a great service that you offer. And I get it. I totally get that. And I wish I had started my email list a lot earlier. I mean, I have emails like you would not believe that I never put, into any kind of spreadsheet or email list or anything like that. So yeah, I understand that the missed opportunities situation. I see your dog there. I got mine here too.
I know.
He's in the butt, so I had to bring him in here because he's going to wreak havoc if I let him
apparently
out.
She's chewing on something she's not supposed to be chewing on. So okay, go lay down. Sorry about that.
No worries at all.
So I hear you saying that your target market is women. Can you tell us more about your target market and who you're looking to reach?
Yeah, so I originally started off kind of with the idea of just helping like female entrepreneurs. And that felt really comfortable, but it was also very broad because there's a lot of industries, there's a lot of niches, there's all these different things. And I kept hearing people say, like, really find your audience. And through sort of just the people I've worked with, the women I've talked to, I found that my audience is primarily women who are moms running a business. So women who are either full-time working moms who want to build a business that allows them to have more flexibility in their schedule, to be with their kids or to travel with their family or to do whatever, or moms that are in that phase of, okay, I've been mom for a while and now I want something that's just for me. And so they're building a business to have something that's their own. And so that's who I really kind of market to and who I connect with a lot. Obviously, that's the stage of life that I am in currently as well. And so I can understand sort of the overwhelm and the feeling of, I want to do this, but I also don't want it to take away from my family. And I don't want it to, cause me to not have the time that I'm creating this business to have in the first place. And so there's a lot of sort of issues and topics that are specific to moms. And that's really what I want to focus on.
I think that's so great. And Glenette and I talk a lot to people in our group about having their avatar and having their ideal client and knowing that this is, who you're going after, right? You're going after moms and they relate to you. It's important because they relate to you. And other moms will be more interested in working with you as opposed to working with somebody that doesn't quite understand their needs. So being a mom and having young kids around is that niche where, people can relate to you about that. We're all in the same boat. My kids are bigger, but yeah.
It doesn't mean it's any easier.
It doesn't, yeah.
No.
I was trying to phrase that nicely. It doesn't get any easier as they get older.
Exactly. I know I hear a lot of moms that are like, oh, well, I don't have like toddlers at home, and so it's not the same, like, but it's still, you're a mom. You're always, once you have kids, you're always a mom. And I have friends who are running businesses whose kids are in high school or college or who are grown, but they still have that mindset of, I don't want my business to take away from the time that I can spend with my family, or I don't want it to take away from, the role of mom. And so there's a lot of things that no matter the age of your kids, you can relate to the feelings and the frustrations and the things you want to accomplish.
I absolutely agree with that. Like you said, once you're a mom, you're always a mom. And similar to dads, I think about my dad. I'm like, my dad's probably up at night worrying about me the way I'm up at night worrying about my kids, So
oh, absolutely. 100%.
You never turn that off, right?
Yes.
And that balance is really great. It is, because if you're, you have things on your plate, like I want to be able to be there for my children and I want to run my business, it's great to relate to somebody who understands that. And what you do really provides a great service for moms that are trying to balance that and focus on work and focus on building a business, as well as having that time that they need for their family.
Yeah.
Is there any particular geographical location that this individual is in? Is it anywhere in the US, all over the world? Are you helping moms, just in Texas? Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so I don't really have any limitations on location. Obviously I started off with just local. I run a local, it's a local photography group. And so it started off, it's for moms that are photographers. And it started off locally, just me kind of helping and mentoring within that group. And then it's just expanded from there. And obviously with the podcast, the reach is even larger because I can pull up my analytics. I can see where people are listening to the podcast all over the world. Oddly enough, I have a lot in like New Zealand. And so it's kind of fun to see, but I don't really have any limitations because again, I think anytime, if you're a woman, if you're a mom and you're starting a business, it doesn't matter where you are, you're going to have a lot of the same, questions and concerns and things that you want to figure out. And so if I can help them, and obviously there's gonna be some limitations as far as like how things work in different places, but for the most part, it's pretty universal.
You're muted.
I was coughing, so I muted myself. Sorry about that. So you work mostly with women. Is there a certain industry that you have noticed as drawn to you, or that you reach out to more than another one?
Yeah, obviously photography, just because that's my background. I was, and I still run my photography business. And so I'm very connected in the photography industry, the photography world. So that's where a lot of them come from. I'm finding that now I get a lot of other podcasters actually that are kind of reaching out to me. I get a lot of like virtual assistants, people that are starting, even like people who are doing like online Etsy shops and Shopify, like boutiques, things like that. But the primary, I would say if I looked at my sort of clientele, it's primarily photographers, but other industries are starting to kind of filter in, since obviously what I talk about is pretty general and not just specific to photography.
So tell us a little bit about your podcast. Like what for example, is give us an example of a podcast episode and the kind of topics that you handle.
Yeah. So, well, I just absolutely love my podcast. It's so much fun. It's my favorite thing to do in my business, but it's a mix of interview style episodes. So I will have guests on where we have conversations about whatever they're an expert in, because I believe that those are my favorite types of episodes to listen to. I also had that fear when I started my podcast of, am I going to have enough to say? And I don't believe that I am like the end all be all expert of anything. And so I'm always open to bringing people on. I've had some people on where we've even kind of debated like what their philosophy on something was versus mine. but it's all centered around business and marketing advice, and then just mom life. So I've had on one of my favorite guests was Ali Kazaza. She's the like declutter queen. And we had a whole conversation around like how to balance work life and motherhood. We decided balance was not our favorite word, so we went with harmony instead. And it's just real conversations. They're very unedited. I don't do a lot of editing, so it's very much you hear the conversation that we had. And then I sprinkle in some episodes by myself. So I did one recently that was like my top 12 favorite business tools that I utilize in my business. I did kind of at the beginning of every year, I do sort of an audit on the programs and systems I use in my business. And so I went through and shared like exactly what that kind of process was and the programs that I found were the most beneficial to my business. I've done several on email marketing where I walk through sort of my step-by-step process for how to get started with email marketing. I've interviewed guests on topics ranging from mindset to finances to legal advice, online social media marketing, all of the above. So it's just kind of a plethora of topics.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I do want to touch on one thing though. You mentioned about, bringing in experts and all of that. And you are definitely an expert in your field. And I think a lot of women don't always give themselves enough credit. Like you feel like you have to have a lot of experience under your belt, to call yourself an expert, but you have a wealth of information that people don't have and that they need. So yeah, but by all means, you're definitely an expert in your field. And I think it's great that you bring on other people to kind of share and grow and have everybody learn. Lynette and I do similarly in our group where we bring on people like yourself so that they can learn and help each other grow. We have a very collaborative community because we just want to see, women succeed in business. Yeah. So I commend you for that. That's great.
Thank you. Well, I always like to look at it as like a toolbox. And if you only have one tool in your toolbox, and if that one tool is me, then you're missing out on a lot of other tools you could be using. So I love to always have like a bunch of different things. And I always say it's kind of like a buffet counter. Like if somebody comes to my podcast and they listen to an episode and they're like, that person had some great ideas, but it doesn't fit for my business. There's going to be another episode where they really connect with someone who has different ideas and different suggestions.
Right. And it's all about connecting with somebody that you relate to. Back to the mom thing, moms will relate to you because they understand where you are and you understand them. So, and the way that you tailor your information, to moms that are balancing, multifaceted lives really relates to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, you mentioned that you provide like a list of beneficial programs and systems. And our listeners and in our group, we talk a lot about systems and how important systems are, especially in the beginning when you set up. Can you name a few that you would recommend for business owners or entrepreneurial women who are starting off?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a big believer in like outsourcing what you either can't do or don't want to do. And I think there's so many, if you're building a business right now, you are building it in the perfect time because there's so much technology out there that can help you where you don't have to hire a team of people. You can have these programs and systems in place. So I'll say probably 3 of the ones that have been my biggest. The first one is going to be a program called HoneyBook. It's connected with the Rising Tide Society and it's a client management system. So I started using it in my photography business and I use it now in my Girl Means Business system because I can use it to schedule like podcast interviews. I can collect questionnaires. For my photography business, I can send invoices. It kind of does all of it for me and it keeps everything in one place. And I'm a very visual person. So the way that it is laid out, it is very linear. And so like I have different projects in place and I can go in and I can see like, okay, this is this project and everything for that project is in one place. So HoneyBook has been huge. My second one is going to be my email marketing platform, which is I use Flowdesk. I've gone through a couple different email marketing platforms. I've done MailChimp and ConvertKit, and now I use Flowdesk. And I have found that it is, for me personally, I like the style of their emails. They're very beautifully laid out. It's a simple to use platform. A lot of those other platforms are have a lot of things you can do with them, and it can feel very overwhelming if you don't need all of those tools. And so if you're just starting out, Flowdesk is a great one. And then my third one is Asana. I like live off of my Asana boards. It's a free platform you can use. I think they have paid programs too, but I use the free one. And it's almost like a bulletin board style where you can kind of track projects. So I use it to track all of my podcast episodes. So I have like a column for each month, and I drag my little boxes underneath it, and I have each episode lined out. I have all the content for that episode. If it's a guest, I have all their information. I use it to keep track of any programs that I've signed up for. So if I sign up for a course, I put it under my courses little calendar or little blocks, and I can like track like my login information. I've used it to keep track of like my blog content, so that if, God forbid, my website would ever crash, I lose all my blog content, I have it all backed up right there. I have it ready to go. So those are the three that I feel like kind of keep me running smoothly, so that I don't have to be constantly like searching for things and digging through like emails or notepads or sticky notes. I used to keep like a notebook, and I would like flip through my notebook every time. I was like, what did we talk about on that email, or that conversation? And now I have systems in place to help me track all that.
Systems are so important, and I emphasize that constantly to people. And in our own law firms, when we talk with each other about our own firms, we always mention systems. Flowdesk, I have to say, I love it. It's beautiful. It's easy and it's pretty. So that makes it easier. MailChimp was, it didn't think with me. It was just too complicated for me. And Flowdesk, for me, I found it a lot easier. So having those kind of systems in place really makes a big difference. And having something, that's going to help you, and that's simple. I've never used Asana. We use Trello. It sounds very similar, and I'm going to look into that one, because I think it probably sounds like something that's good, because keeping track of everything, it's important in a business. If you're running the business, you have to know exactly what's going on. Keeping really good track of everything is extremely important.
Yeah, no, and I've used Trello as well, because I've had clients that will be using Trello. When I had a podcast manager for a while that used Trello, and it is very, very similar. So it's kind of one and the same. You just define the one. I liked the layout of Asana better. Again, me being a visual person, I liked the way the Asana boards were laid out a little more, but it's all about finding, what works. And that's why, like, when I give suggestions, I always kind of give it with a little asterisk of, these are what worked for me. And while I'm going to suggest like that these are great programs and systems and platforms, you have to go in and do the work to figure out what works best for you. Don't just assume that because somebody you follow says this is the end all be all, that it's going to be the end all be all for your brand as well.
Right.
Right. It really depends on individuals and your personality and what syncs with you. Like with MailChimp, for example, everybody loves it. I found it complicated. I like Flowdesk, excuse me. And I'm on that Flowdesk Facebook page, and I see a lot of people leaving Flowdesk, and they give the reasons why, so it's not for everybody. So, whatever fits your business and your personality is what, what you need to use. So that's really a great thing to emphasize with people.
Yes.
So tell us, where can we find you? I know you have your podcast, so if you don't mind repeating your podcast information, where we can go to find it. Also, if you can tell us more about your website, and where we can just go to find Kendra.
Yeah, I would love to. So the podcast is Girl Means Business. You can find it on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, I think pretty much all the podcast platforms. You can also listen to it on the website. So if you go to girlmeansbusiness.com, there's like a little player, you can listen to the latest episodes, or if you go to you can search for different episode pages. Each one has a little player. So even if you're at a computer and you don't, have an Apple iTunes account, you can always listen on there. And then social media, Instagram and Facebook, I'm just at Girl Means Business. I just recently got on Clubhouse, and I'm obsessed with it. And I'm at Kendra May on there. So you can find me on there. And I have this vision of taking the podcast and including in the future Clubhouse rooms where we can continue the conversation after the podcast is over. So I know it's still new. There's not a lot of people on there because it's by invite only, but once it starts to kind of get some traction, I would love to continue conversations in a more interactive manner over on Clubhouse.
I just joined Clubhouse recently, and so did Glenetta. So we're trying to feel our way through it, and everybody loves it. Everybody who I know is on there.
Yes.
absolutely loves it. So I'll absolutely look you up on
Yeah.
Clubhouse.
Well, and anytime if y'all want to host a room together, you just let me know and I'm there.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, we've been talking about hosting a room. Like I said, we're just really trying to feel our way through it. It's a lot of work to understand a new platform.
It is. I'm on day 3, but I've already like run down my earbuds a couple times listening to stuff. So it's kind of like podcasts. You just kind of have it on, and you can jump into different rooms and listen, I've gotten on and started conversations. I've made tons of connections with people just in the last couple of days of being on there. And I think it's going to have a lot of potential and a lot of power to connect people. So it'll be interesting to see where it goes.
Right. I agree with you on that.
Yeah, like Liza said, we're still trying to get the hang of it. I just have it up and I'm like, I don't even know where to go. How do I find a room?
I know, right? And then I was asking somebody about it online. They're like, we didn't have your picture on there. I'm like, I'm brand new. I'm trying to figure this thing out. I stumbled upon a room, and it was really interesting because I know this person from online, right? And then she featured a social media person that I had worked with and hired before. So it's like, wow, this is a small world. I love it. So yeah, it's great to get on there and get a lot of information.
Yeah, it's been fun.
So Kendra, we want to thank you so much for coming on today and just sharing about your business. So our listeners know Girl Means Business is online. It's also a podcast. Guys, go out and look at it. Check it out. Like, share. We're really excited to have you on today, and we're just so grateful and thankful that you can share your knowledge and relate to our clients and our listeners.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. This has been so much fun. Anytime, I'd be happy to come back.
Well, I'm glad you're here. You are definitely the demographic that our Facebook group and everyone that follows us is looking for. So I'm glad that you were here to share, your knowledge and to tell us about your business. And it's been a great connection. So I'm glad to get to know you a little bit better.
Thank you so much.